Okay, I think I actually made it go live.
What?
Yep, I clicked on the wrong thing instead of being on studio mode, which would have been a lot better. I just went live. So, we're doing this. Classic. So, anyways, today's stream is not going to be gaming. It's going to be a little bit of you watching me finish setting all this up, and then going to be switching the old rig into a new case with very small upgrade as far as hard drives go, and then mostly aesthetic upgrades. Now, the real challenge for this is going to be I'm going to have Holly build it with me instructing her, and it's been probably a very long time since she's actually built up a PC.
Oh, teenage years.
But first, we got to tear this guy down. So let's get this case off of here, and then we will go ahead and show you guys what's in here, kind of some of the benefits of this case, and then we'll go from there. So, ooh.
Yep. Got it.
Need that mouse. Alright, so this is the Phanteks Shift N through Shift case. It is a mini ITX case, even though it looks quite massive, but there's not a lot of space in it. It's absolutely a wonderful case, actually. I really like this one. It has, the glass paneling's nice, good tempered. It's got decent airflow. It's not the best. Components do run a little hot, especially on the back side. One weird bit for this is that all your I/O is up top. So all your I/O actually comes out of the top and then comes through the hole back here, which can be a little weird, and the 90-degree bend here means that you're kind of limited on connector choice for cables, because if it's too tall, you can't bend it. The other big downfall to this case, especially with the way graphics card trends are going now, is that it's only 2-slot, which is exactly why I'm swapping this case out. I might hang on to this case because I really like it, and then eventually convert it into maybe my main stream PC, because currently I do run 2 PCs for the streaming, which is why I'm able to get away with the mini ITX for gaming and not have to worry about having huge graphics card support or massive motherboard support to be able to do 2 streams. Let's crack this case open here. So the case is pretty easy to part. There's just 2 thumb screws for each panel at the top, and then it slides right out. So just like that. Nice tempered glass, solid panels, love them. I'll set that some up, please.
Yep.
Alright, and then let's go ahead and go back, show you some of the inside. Now, this case has already been kind of torn apart by me. I was doing a little bit of, I was trying to fit a 3-slot graphics card in here, and then it just straight up didn't work. So some of it is kind of torn apart, like my PCIe cables here are not doing very good, mostly because that, where those go, is your drive mounting for 2 SSD mounts. They just slide in there, mounted on rubber. Not that they make any noise, so I don't know what the point of that is. And then that's your PCIe riser cable that goes around to the back side. Asus ROG Strix 57 or 570 board. AMD Ryzen 7 2700X underneath my Enermax AIO here. One of the other big problems with this case has been it's been noisy, and part of that comes down to having the AIO mounted like this. So if you don't know, AIOs tend to always have air in them. There's no way you can get around that. And Steve on Gamers Nexus went over how you should orientate these. The problem with this case having the AIO down here, the radiator down here, and the pump up here, is that air from the radiator will always come up into the pump, and you just can't get rid of that. And so that creates a noisy pump, adds a bit of a whine to it, which was audible and started to bother me. And so that's going to be one of the other benefits of switching to the new case, which is the Cooler Master N200 or NR200, is that I can side mount the AIO. Not much else to really show on this side. Just a couple sticks, normal RAM there. Only SFX power supply units can be used. Got some LED or some RGB here, Chromax Noctula fan for intake. The best way to run this, when Phanteks gives you this case, this top fan is actually an exhaust. And I found that that's the worst way to run this. You would think it would make sense because all the hot air comes up and then blows out. But the problem is all the hot air comes up and your motherboard is starved for cool air as well as your graphics card, so you actually don't get very good temps. The best way I found is to turn this to an intake, to just flood a bunch of air in here and turn this whole case into positive pressure. So the AIO is blowing in, this Chromax fan is blowing in, and then this fan is blowing in. And that creates positive pressure in the case and forces all the hot air out of the top. And so that's that side of it. Let's get it flipped around and start working on the back side. Just keep the camera up like that for now. Again, just 2 thumb screws on the top. And all 4 panels do come off, front, back, and the sides. So you do have quite a bit of ability to work with things, do proper wire management. So looking in here, I have a Asus ROG Strix GTX 1080, not a TI, not a Super, anything like that. It's just a regular 1080. I've had this for a while. Currently selling it on eBay, and it's already doing pretty good there. So it'll be going away. So looking at this, once you get inside there, a 2-slot graphics card is tight everywhere. There's not a ton of room. You have to be careful about length. You have to be careful about the height of the graphics card because it shares the same kind of space here as your power supply. And if you kind of look closely in there, you can see I've kind of scraped up the power supply. That's because I had an AIO on this card using the NZXT, can't remember the part numbers for it, but it was the graphics card AIO, and I found that that thing also sucks, and I don't recommend ever buying it. And then cable management, these were for my SATAs. I was able to tuck them in right there. Everything is covered in sleeving, cable sleeving, just to try to make a good clean look, because this does have front and back glass panels, so I just wanted to make sure it looked good. Then I'm going to go ahead and pop off the front and back at the same time. So we just get this going here. Now the front and back tends to be where you run a lot of your wiring. So you can see here, this is where my one intake fan is. This is where the second one, and then I tucked a lot of wiring away behind there. On the back side here, on the back side here is, again, a spot where I just tucked away a lot of the wiring. So you have your I/O here. Your I/O really just consists of 2 USB 3.1 ports, and that's it. No audio out, nothing like that. The top button's up here. You don't even have reset. The big guy here is your power. The small one actually controls the RGB for Phanteks, so it does have integrated RGB control if you want to go that route. And then right here though, one benefit is if you're not using this for cable management, you can fit a 3.5-inch hard drive right here behind the plate. And I did have one of those in here for a little while. That was pretty awesome, but just try to simplify the case build and not be reliant on having a case that has that. I ended up going with a case where I can fit one in anyways, but I wanted to get rid of that so that your options for ITX builds open up quite a bit. Alright, so that's the case and the rundown. I guess one last part that needs to come off is the bottom here. So that just pops off, just regular little tabs there, filtered intake. All the intakes on this are filtered. The side panels had venting in them, or little filters in them. The bottom had filter. Again, this is the fan for the AIO blowing in. Used Noctua again, trying to go as quiet as I could with good performance. And ultimately, it's kind of the AIO and just the case out of this that kills you. So let's see. Let's go ahead and switch scenes here. Now it's time to start taking it apart. That's going to be where the challenge starts to come in, because I don't exactly remember how I put it together. I can leave the graphics card in for now. It's not attached to the motherboard because it is on a riser. It's on the backside in its own base, so I can focus on just trying to get the motherboard out, which will probably be the easiest if I get the AIO off, the AIO pump off and out of the way, and then that'll give me access to a lot of the cabling in here, like the 8-pin, the 24-pin, all the headers, stuff like that. So that, I do believe, is where we're going to start. Well, I guess we'll start with the USB 3 header first, and let's go from there. So, screwdriver here. That's unfortunate. I just realized I have no camera shooting straight down, so just gonna have to work a little bit standing up here. So if you've never built a computer, that's also, this video is going to be good for that. Taking one apart is a good way to kind of see roughly how they go together. Oh, I will have to take the graphics card out because the CPU backplate will drop if I don't. And that could wipe out my SSD on the back. So we'll just start with 2 screws. Those out. Let's take the graphics card out. So the graphics card mount for this thing is kind of a pain in the butt. So way down inside here, I know you're not going to be able to see it on the camera, but there's a standoff and a screw. That's what holds the graphics card carrier into, pulls it into the main chassis. Once you take that out, the graphics card, which once I turn it around, you'll see is able to just kind of flop around everywhere. So once that screws out, you can just pop it around like that. So that screw is what pulls that in and holds it in tight. Then it's just a matter of these 2 screws up here and the whole carrier will come out. So just like that. Jiggle this out a little bit. The PCIe riser on this one is incredibly stiff, so you don't get a lot of room to work with. Just try to release the lock on that. Oh, duh. Let's take the actual screws out of the PCI bracket first. Sorry, Beach. Zombies after this. So for now, it's going to be
Sorry, Beach.
lots of screwdriver. And very little zombies.
I mean, I can play zombies.
Yeah, actually Holly could until she has to build the system back up.
True story.
Alright, so there we go. Pop it out. Again, Phanteks riser here. Comes with the case. Let's get these power pins out. And there we go. The old Strix card. Do you want to find a safe place to put that?
We don't have many cat-free places now.
Yeah, we'll have to just figure it out. One other thing here is I have my 960 EVO SSD M.2 on the back here. Now this guy does not get a lot of airflow because of this case either, which can also be a problem. You don't want to overcool NVMe drives, but you also don't want them to just sit and bake. And unfortunately, this one just kind of sits and bakes on here. So This case is not the best when it comes to thermals. You have to just be kind of careful about everything there. Let's get this PCI slot the rest of the way out. So we'll pop that, get the header out of here, straighten everything out, just pull that through. There you go. Now I can finish taking the AIO out. Oops. Just good thing my RAM was there. Alright, so the AIO would just pop off, except for I have it all wrapped in here. So I did way too good of a job of cable management on this. Makes it kind of a pain to take anything apart, move anything, but it looks good at least. With the NR200, we'll not have that same concern as everything is. Oof, that's gross. A little too much thermal compound on that. That's not Enermax's fault either. That's mine. I put that on, and it's just a little gross. Got some cables I gotta snip here. Cable ties. There's one. And let's just get this guy while we're at it. There we go. Perfect. That should allow me to pull these fan headers here, or the ARGB headers, and fan header, and almost free, but I'm wrapped underneath of my power connector, which is a royal pain in the butt to get out. We are going to have to work on that a little bit more. Ah, sweet. Just do that instead. Cool. AIO's off. Still have some more headers, ARGB headers, fan headers, chassis fans. RAM's a little dusty. Got one SATA connector over here. That cable out of the way, and now we're down to still have this 8-pin CPU power up here and the 24-pin ATX down there. Let's see, I'm going to turn this or lay this flat so you won't really be able to see what's going on, but I'm just trying to pull the connector off. And that will probably get thermal compound on something. No, it's fine. Thermal compound will come back off. That connector is just really on there. There we go. Probably wouldn't always recommend just stabbing a screwdriver at your motherboard.
I was thinking that too. I was like,
But hey, gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. And the ATX 24 is also gonna be pretty tight. So let's pop the memory sticks out to give me a little bit more space. Plus it gives Holly something else to do. Memory sticks aren't anything fancy. Just some standard G scale here, DDR4 2400. It's not super baller, but it works. I haven't had any problems yet. I would like to probably upgrade sometime in the future. 16 gigs just isn't quite enough for a lot of photo editing stuff, video editing, stuff like that. Tends to chew that up pretty fast. Let's get that SATA plug out of there. There we go. Alright, so now we have a cable-free motherboard. I'll just pull the 24 pin out that way. And then from here, we can actually just pull it out. So it's going to be 4 screws just around the perimeter there. One up there, one down there, one down there, one down there. And then I will be able to pull the motherboard straight up and out of this guy. Let's go ahead and do that. No, it sounds like that screw is stripped out. Oh, you know what it is. So there's standoffs, motherboard standoffs on the back side. And I think the motherboard standoff screwed out with the screw still in it. So we'll just have to take care of that once we get the motherboard out. Not a big deal. See if the board will pop out. It is not. There we go. Bam. All right. There is a tiny little ITX board. If
So
you've
cute.
never seen one, they are quite small, heavily packed with components. As you can see, just tons of USB on this one, which is the great thing about the X series, the X570i for the AMD chip from Asus. Asus boards are kind of the only ones I'll go with anymore. They're always top notch and just high quality. And this one is no exception. And like I said, standoff came out. So we'll just have to operate on that a little bit to get that off. And then we're good. And we'll have to swap out this bracket for the one that comes with the new AIO. And we will take care of that kind of in a little bit here. First, let's put the motherboard that I don't break it. Let's see. Cat-free safe place.
That it's the shelf behind you.
That is full of stuff.
So I'm not gonna go on the floor.
Alright. Oh yeah, I didn't even go through what all we're putting in this.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Yeah, just sit on the floor for now. That card will go on the floor. Seems like a good place for it. Bam. Motherboard's taken care of. Let's pop the I/O shield out. There. And then, yeah, actually, do you have a paper towel? Because I do need to clean up some of this now. Now that I can tuck it in there.
Our sustainable bamboo paper towels.
Ooh. That is some old, gross thermal paste. That is for sure. Just throw that on the ground. Take care of it later.
You say that.
We are going to salvage the RGB strips out of here because I am going to go full Ricer on this PC. So let's get that out. I think. There we go. There we go. Vantex are LED RGB strips. They will plug straight into the case with their own little connector there, but I do believe I have an adapter that I'm probably going to have to steal off of this case to make it work with the new case. a good spot for them.
No.
Alright, let's get the power supply out. So one thing to keep in mind if you're ever building this case is that the power supply does load in from the bottom. So once you've sealed up the case, it is not going to be super easy to get to. Just kind of a pain in the butt if you accidentally forget to hit the power on switch. So just keep that in mind if you build in this case that the power supply is on. Let's get some of these headers out of here. Give ourselves some room to pull this out. Probably going to have to actually pull the AIO out first to get the power supply out. So let's just do that now. Save those screws because I may have to do some modification on the Cooler Master case to make some of the components I bought work. One great thing about this case though is that having the fan down there means you can use one of the ugly Noctua brown fans and nobody's going to see it. Because while they are amazing fans, they are not winning any design competitions, but everybody that knows about Noctua knows that. Go.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah. And then we're going to have to pull the Chromax out to get the AIO out. Again, if you ever built in a mini ITX case, they are a challenge like this. A lot of times you have to remove several components just to get at the component you want. That's just kind of the price you pay for the small form factor and not having a giant mid-tower, well, giant in comparison, but not having a mid-tower case or otherwise taking up a lot of real estate on your desk or just in your office when you don't have a lot of real estate like I don't. There we go. Let's get that out. Noctua Chromax. The big difference with these guys is that they're just black instead of brown. It's the same as the other fan, and then you can do colored bumpers on them, which they come with all sorts. I have black ones on the backside here just because I do believe they were hidden, not because I didn't have 8 white ones. I don't really remember why I made it a panda, but I did.
It's cute.
Let's fish this AIO out for good. Enermax AIO, 120 millimeter, white because I was going for a theme and aesthetic. Don't want it anymore. Maybe I'll save it if I turn this into a streaming PC, if I get tired of using the laptop I'm using, but I don't know. Probably won't. Like, it does fine. There's no problem as far as cooling performance goes. It's just noisy. And I severely value silence in my PCs. My case prior to this was a Fractal Designs Define R7, and those things are insanely quiet with all the soundproofing they put in the panels, but they're also quite large. And just with the new space here, just didn't have space for it anymore and decided to get rid of it. Screw is in there. And this case will only fit SFX power supplies. They won't fit SFXL or anything else like that. Which can be I mean, granted, you're not going to really need a much bigger power supply if you can't fit even a 3-slot GPU in here, as you're not going to have anything that really is going to eat up that much power. So we got a bunch of cables we'll probably pull out. but let's take care of that later. So we'll keep this close by. Just set it down back here. That's it. That is it for that guy. Holly?
I'm not reworking.
No. I was going to say, do you want to grab a little Ziploc or something?
No, but I will.
Just so we can keep all these screws together. Let's put the riser down here. Just get it out of the way. Power supply can go down here.
I got you a cute little BB-8 bag.
Nice, thank you.
Which ones? All of them?
All of those, and we're gonna keep these out just in case. So set them over here. Thank you. Alright, so before you grab the case, we do actually need to finish prepping the motherboard, which I will take, which I can take care of here. Okay, so I will use the new AIO case as my motherboard stand. So
More zombies, less screwdriver.
yeah. So the AIO that I'm going with now is the Corsair iQ H15i Elite Caplix. It is a 280 millimeter AIO, so it's a huge jump up from the 120 and probably extremely overkill for what I need. But the benefit of this is that A, it does allow me to start actually overclocking my processor, which I've never done on this processor yet. But it's starting to get a little old and slow, so it might be time to do it. The other benefit of it is that if I don't, the cooling performance of this will allow me to run the fans incredibly low, which will make the PC a lot more quiet. At full blast, I do believe the rating for this AIO is 36 decibels. At minimum, it's something like 17, which is inaudible, and I'm hoping to keep it somewhere just south of like 20. So this is the back bracket for the AIO. So we'll hang on to that guy too, because he's important, as well as all this hardware. Then, yeah, 960 M.2 NVMe right there. That became my operating system drive. It was my Steam drive, but that caused problems because it would heat up so much. Nope, that ain't gonna work. We'll use wire cutters on it. Why not?
That doesn't seem good.
It's fine, I think. There we go. Just need a little bit of extra. I'm not sure if I cross-threaded something or if there's a little bit of Loctite on the screw, which I don't think there should have been. So I may have just cross-threaded it or got some dirt in there. It wouldn't surprise me. Putting this motherboard into the case is very tight, and so it makes you do some weird stuff with your screws. Yeah,
That's good.
I'm not sure. Just looks like maybe the standoff was a little bit cross-threaded. So now, for those of you that don't know, when you are replacing processors to put into new IOs or new cooling solutions, you do need to clean all of the old thermal paste off. You can't reuse that. It just kind of turns to a little bit of chalky goo. So that's what we're going to be doing now. Pretty simple, straightforward process. I just need a paper towel, the alcohol, and the Q-tips. Thank you. So I'll just do a pretty decent, just switch this back, can't see what I'm doing anyways. Just do a pretty decent pre-wipe with, oh hey Kato, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. We are just swapping my entire system into a new case. And by we, I mean Holly will be rebuilding it up. I'm just doing the teardown. But thanks for dropping in. So, like I said, usually with the older thermal paste 2, it kind of just rubs off. But you do want to make sure you finish cleaning it up. Thermal paste kind of tends to kind of stick behind in the textured surface of the heat spreader on the CPU. So you just want to make sure you get all that old nasty gunk off of there. So alcohol, Q-tip, quite a bit of scrubbing. And this is going to be the most riveting part of all of this.
Right before you started streaming, you're like, "Oh, we're gonna need alcohol for this," and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And I thought you were going to grab some beers or something.
Oh no, can't drink alcohol on a Twitch stream. Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah, you just can't get drunk.
That's true. Yeah, so this guy right here is the, I actually just went over there, I think right before you jumped in. Corsair IQ H115i, all-in-one cooler. It's 280 millimeters. It's got a ton of cooling performance that I won't be using, but my goal is to try to make the case quiet, so having this much kind of just thermal mass in the form of the water and then just the cooling performance of it should allow me to run the fans just whisper quiet, which is what I am going for. Okay, so the CPU is actually cleaning up pretty fast here. Another Q-tip, I was still taking off some thermal paste here. Again, this is not the most exciting part.
No, but you should get the mic all up in there and do ASMR stuff.
I really think there's an ASMR to be had here. I guess the dry Q-tip on the die might work. Okay, so that's pretty good.
I'll get that.
Thank you. And then just dump the alcohol back in. All right, so we're good. And then we are going to pull the chip out so Holly can put it back in. Maybe. I don't really want to risk damaging my chip pulling it. She got lucky. So,
how did I get lucky?
because I can't pull the chip out. I was going to make you reseat it. If you're not familiar with AMD builds, they're quite a bit different than Intel builds, but it's really just this one lever here. And I should be able to pull this out, but I don't want to because if I remember correctly, AMD chips use pins on the die or on the CPU itself. Intel, actually I do need one more Q-tip, there's some more gunk around the edge here. Intel's do not. The pins are actually in the board and you press your CPU, which has pads, down onto those pins. So it's kind of different. Much higher risk of damaging the CPU trying to pry it off than with a Intel build. So that's it. Now, let's just run through what I'm going to throw in this thing real quick.
Yeah.
So we've already seen the cooler here. Some of the other kind of components. Again, a lot of this, none of it's really performance upgrade. It's going for quiet and RGB. So I have the Halo Lux Digitals from Fantex to add some color to the Shadow Links 2 from Be Quiet. These things run at about 16 or 17 decibels, so at max, so I shouldn't be able to hear them, but we need to jazz them up a little bit. Another fan from Be Quiet, the Pure Wings 2. On this case, there's a little 92mm. These are typically noisy as hell, so I tried to go with someone that I know will deliver a quiet product. Fan does go up to 1900 RPMs. Probably not going to need it. I think that'll probably be the only exhaust fan. Otherwise, I'm going to run this case as also as positive pressure. That's kind of my favorite way to do things. Have everything blow in and then have the hot air just kind of escape where it can. So this will probably be one of the only exhaust fans. Move that stuff out of the way. The other items we're throwing in are going to be, this one's a maybe. It's a Cooler Master Masterfan ARGB and PWM hub for controlling all the PWM and RGB that I'm going to have on this. It's going to make wiring a lot simpler. There is one that's in here, but I'm not sure if it's compatible with all fans or if it's just Corsair fans, and I don't have Corsair fans. I am throwing in a 2 terabyte Samsung 860 EVO. That is to get rid of two drives. Forgot to show these. These were the drive bays from the Fantex case. I know I pointed out the rubber on them before. As you can see, they kind of just slot in. So I'm going to be ditching these. Each one of these is a 500 gigabyte drive, and it's just becoming too cluttered. So we're going to switch back to a 2 terabyte drive. So this is going to be, I have this storage. I also have a 2 terabyte NVMe in here that I got from Micro Center. It's their Inland Professional series, which honestly is really good. It's their house brand, but their chips, I do believe, are made by Samsung. Don't quote me on that, but the chip controller and the actual chips and the silicon in the board are top notch. They're from one of the major brands that you would buy. You're just not paying for the name of it. So I got a heck of a deal on it, and 2 terabyte NVMe is insane. It's faster than my 960 EVO on the backside. Throwing in some Silverstone slim fans. So these are only 15 millimeter thick, ARGB. They're one of the other ones that does it. Doing this because in the bottom of the case where the graphics card is going to be, there's now out space with how I'm putting the graphics in. I'm going for the best cooling because that means I can run the fans the quietest. So there's not going to be any acrylic or panels, glass panels on this build. But I'm still going to try to get some RGB going through it, through the different vent holes. So that's where these guys come in, 2 of them. And then the graphics card I'm putting in is going to be another Asus ROG Strix. This is a 2080 Ti, RTX 2080 Ti. So it's not brand new. I did get this used, but I got a decent deal on it. And it's a hell of an upgrade for my 1080. But it's still not going to be obviously in the neighborhood of a 3080 or a 3090. It's actually pretty close to a 3080, but nowhere near a 3090. But of course you can't even get those, and you can't get the AMD cards either, so this is what we got. And this is kind of the whole thing that pushed the build, was I wanted a graphics card upgrade, but this guy is a pure 3-slot card. It's just massive, so it doesn't fit in that case at all, and I tried.
I can attest.
Yes. So that's what we're going to be throwing in. That's what Holly's going to be throwing in. So let's get the parts back over here. We'll keep this guy because it's a good motherboard holder. And then let's go ahead and get the case out here. Move this down here. Like where that is. Set that there. Put that there. Sorry, my space is really small, so don't really have much to work with. So this is the case. This is a Cooler Master NR200. It's not the 200p. The only difference really being a clear glass panel on the non-motherboard side. So this side, it does have the ability to run a 3-slot card. Just move that right there. So you can run it standard style where you're just going right into the PCIe Express on your motherboard, or you do have these punch outs right here, so you can do a vertical layout with a short riser that Cooler Master does sell and or includes in the P case. Yeah, pre-installed 92 millimeter fan in the back here. I do have 120 millimeter in the fan. I chose not to go with those because Cooler Master fans are not as quiet as Be Quiets. Simple as that. Pretty straightforward case. Not a lot to it. It's very sleek, very minimalistic. Your I/O up here, you just have 2 USB 3.1s, I do believe, and then combined headphone jack, power button, reset button. That's it. The rest of your I/O has to come from the back panel. Thankfully, unlike with the Phanteks case, it's standard IO. It's going to be very much similar to a normal ATX case, which is great. Nice. Series X's. Yeah, that's a good way to pass the time until you can get the monies to build up a PC. When you do, hopefully...
You don't even have the money to build this.
I mean...
You do.
But yeah, so, you know, when you do, it's fun. It's a lot of fun to build your own PC. I think it's more rewarding because the end product is exactly what you put into it. And you can build some really good stuff on just a budget. Like, just kind of minimal stuff. If you know what to buy used, I'd probably say never buy used SSDs, but used motherboards, used processors, graphics cards are all good. Don't buy used power supplies. You know, there's just a couple of things you should always buy new, because SSDs you shouldn't buy used because they just get worn out and you could lose all your data. Power supplies, never buy used. Always buy new, buy quality. If you're going to splurge on an item that isn't your graphics card or processor, it's got to be the power supply. The power supply is the one component in your computer that will kill your entire computer, all the components, if it goes bad. So it will just, it'll fry your board, fry your processor, fry your graphics card. So never skimp on power supply. That being said, let's go ahead and tear into this. Ollie, why don't you go ahead and start tearing in? Start popping panels off.
I don't know how.
So the great thing about this case is there's no screws to take it apart.
That's what I remember.
Go ahead and just start pulling on panels. I'll probably start with the front panel here.
The top panel?
No, the front guy right here. So
is it just pulled then?
Yep.
I want to break it.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
So all steel construction. Everything pops in. So these, you probably pull the top off next.
Okay.
The top is the only piece that's plastic, so be just a little gentle with that one, but don't worry about it too much. Cooler Master did release the STLs for this, so if you have a 3D printer or a software that can modify STLs, you can make a whole new top for this. So you could do like a top hat design where you get way up there if you want to try to fit like a 240 radiator in the top, which normally this case isn't designed for.
I feel like it should slide.
Nope, it all pops right off. There you go. Which is pretty stellar of them. Sorry. All the panels include magnetic filters. I'm probably going to swap these out. Honestly, they're not like the greatest filter. They're pretty coarse. They'll do to keep like big particles out of it. But once, trying to remember who the manufacturer is. There's a specialty manufacturer makes filters for a lot of different cases. Once those drop, I'll probably pick it up.
Well, now.
Okay, so now we got the entire case torn apart. So, one more panel. You can also pop off the bottom.
We don't need to.
We will eventually.
Oh, okay.
So let's go ahead and just pop that off right now, just so we got everything.
Did the feet come off with it?
Yep.
Oh no, it's screwed in.
Oh, hey.
You're lucky I saw that.
That is the one screw that they actually had included. Was right there.
Yeah.
Everything else isn't screwed in, so it's a good thing she cut up that. Again, magnetic dust filter here. Big, not super filtering. I'll keep like cat hair, your hair, small potato chips, stuff like that out of your face.
Cheeto dust.
Fortunately, not Cheeto dust. Let's go ahead and pop that off. Another thing that's kind of cool of Cooler Master is that the feet. So the feet are kind of this, I don't know, trapezoidal, triangular shape. They released the STLs for these as well, so you can 3D print any style feet you want. You could print really tall ones so that you can fit fans on the outside of the case to help power a bigger AIO on the bottom if you want. Yeah, so it's kind of cool that they did that. So now the case torn down, it's pretty nice right now. Like, you can get into everything. Now you see this guy right here. Seems like it'd be a big pain in the butt. This is actually the side mount for the AIO. We can go ahead and take that off too. I don't know why I'm doing this.
I don't know why either, but you know, I'm just gonna let it happen.
Go ahead and pop that off. This is also a mount that you can use to put. I think you can only fit one 3.5-inch drive on this. This case also has capability to fit, I do believe, up to like 3.5-inch drives, as well as a couple 2.5-inch SSDs. Lots of options for storage on this one.
Comes with your own very own silica packet.
Comes with seasoning for your case. All right.
What flavor did you put in that water?
Mango.
I can smell it.
Yeah, it tastes like tropics.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, some of the other features, you can mount SSDs here. This would be behind the front plate. You can put two 2.5-inch drives there. You can fit a 2.5-inch drive right here, or a 3-inch drive on the power supply bracket, which is what this is. You can fit them on the bottom, with the bottom that we took away. If you don't have fans down there, we'll have fans. Or on the side bracket if you don't have fans or an AIO on there. So there's storage and just mounting locations for kind of anything you'd want. So for this case, first things first, let's kick this fan out. It's just going to be in the way anyways. And we're getting ready to... The one thing that I've noticed about this is that cable management on the back side, behind the motherboard here, is probably going to be a bit of a nightmare. I was hoping to maybe be able to get a heatsink on my SSD back there, but I don't think I'll be able to. However, it is open to fresh air, so I should get better thermals on that drive anyways. So, not the biggest deal in the world. So these are the fans that Cooler Master includes with it. It's just their sickle flow fans. They do look like they would be pretty decent, but their like noise rating is just kind of atrocious.
They're kind of dope though. They have like this holographic stuff inside. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, but
you should just peel the sticker off and put on your new one.
We're gonna go like full RGB on a lot of this.
True.
So it'll be a lot cooler. All right. So,
what next?
That is a great question. ITX builds can be notoriously difficult to plan out. You have to kind of plan everything in advance. And quite frankly, I'm not entirely sure. Well, let's think. A few things we're going to need. So putting the motherboard in first may not be the worst idea. It's all the standoffs already in. We can easily plop it in there. Now that we have the fan out of the way, and the fan gets screwed in from the outside anyways. Oh, dude, we've been wanting to play VR forever.
Yeah.
We keep talking about, but we never do. But you go have a lot of fun, man. VR is sick, and
charging them right now.
I know. I have my Oculus Quest, the first one, just sitting on the kitchen counter charging and just begging for me to play, but we don't have space here without punching a ceiling. So,
no, really,
super jealous of you right now. Definitely want to be playing that. But so, yeah, I think we could probably put the motherboard in first because the power supply is going to go here inside of this bracket, and we can take all this out, plug it back in, and be able to get our connections done. And then from there, all of the fans connect to the external panels, so we don't really have to worry about much. SSD mounting is probably going to go out here. And yeah, so let's get the motherboard in.
Okay.
So, you will need probably some of the screws out of here. Here's the other sickle fan they include, 120 millimeter. Comes with this Don't
Yeah, but
roll
it's got that
great.
dope holographic.
We will have to take this apart because we're going to need to salvage these pins in here probably. I will show you guys a up close of how they do the top mounts here when we get to that. But for now, let's just set this down here in the pile of parts. So we just have our, looks like ARGB header stuff. These are important screws. These are damaged screws. Let's just set those over there. So motherboard screws are going to be in here. I got a lot of rubber mounting. Should probably look at the instructions. So if you do go for vertical GPU, this is the PCIe plate for that. That goes in with these punch outs. Punch outs are a little loose. Kind of disappointed on that, but it is what it is.
Go cooking.
Got your other grill right here for your fans. It's nice they include those because on ITX builds it's really easy to shove cabling directly into a fan and create a lot of noise, and it becomes annoying. So let's see. These could probably just go in a box. Make that the catch-all box here. Don't think we need any of those for right now. I think those are all for drive mounting. Hey, come back here.
You're yawning.
Oh. And there are, yeah, so some of those are for drive mountings. Some of those are for otherwise. I'll get you guys a close-up of all the hardware for you, so you can have all the same fun that we're having with this.
Nobody wants a close-up of the hardware.
So, this is everything that Cooler Master kicks in. So these long pins are for your fan mounting. These little guys right here, these are your drive mounts. They work together with the rubber grommets that are in this bag here. So everything just kind of like fits in. Nothing actually screws in very many places in this case, it seems like. That's a little finger nut driver for standoffs. Make sure the motherboard standoffs are tight. And that's pretty much it. I do believe this one is for 3.5-inch drives. A little beefier compared to the SSD ones. And those are for mounting fans, or the fan grills on. Because if you look, you can see this pin doesn't have anything there. Threaded hole there. And you can kind of see that. We'll cross that bridge later. So motherboard screws. I'll get those out for you.
These the tiny ones?
Yeah, they're going to be these tiny little guys that have the big fat head. And the reason why they have that is for the grounding on the motherboard. So, go ahead and let's get the motherboard in.
Okay.
So, this is everything you have for the motherboard that you have to put into the case.
Okay.
So we have what's called the I/O shield. That's just the pretty cover for all your USBs, stuff like that. And then the motherboard.
Tell me what to do.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pop the I/O shield in first. Taking a look at it, this is a standard, like it's not
Like
an
tinfoil.
yeah, it's not an inverted motherboard or ITX motherboard in this case. It's pretty standard. So what you're going to want to do is take that guy, look at the back of the motherboard here,
Yep.
figure out kind of where that should go. You want the pretty side out. So it goes like that, and then this has to go in there first, just so you have the idea of orientation. You're gonna want to put
Is there anything I cannot touch on this? Like on the sides?
No, you can, but you're going to put the I/O shield in first.
Okay.
The I/O shield should just snap in. It may be a little bit of a pain, but for the most part, you just push it hard and it goes in. Just push
Working on it.
Push it around the edges.
Okay. I need like 2 hands. Get in there. Oh my gosh. I need some borrowed muscle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, IO shields can be kind of a pain. Just kind of put one edge in first, and then what you want to do is you want to put one edge of the IO shield in first. So I put the bottom edge in first. So that's all there, and then kind of push down.
And then another one pops out.
Yeah. Do you want to put this? So push in. Oh man, this one is.
I hired muscles and
This one is
doing
actually.
it as quickly as.
So this is actually a little bit more of a bear than they normally are. I wonder if something's holding it up. There we go. Bam. It was this bottom right corner right here was just kind of screwed up. So when your IO shield's properly installed, you'll see a little knob there. It'll be nice and firm.
Okay, your camera man again.
Okay, so that's in. So now let's make sure all the motherboard standoffs are nice and tight before we put that in. So these are the motherboard standoffs, and this little guy is a little thumb driver that you can use to kind of just make sure they're good.
I mean, we'll hope.
I mean, as long as you can't turn them anymore, then that's good. Perfect.
Yeah, but I have lotion hands, and you never do.
Okay, so go ahead and take the motherboard, lining up with the 4 mounting holes that will be in the corner on this board.
But don't I need to put it through?
You also need to put it through the IO
Yeah.
shield at the same time. Let's make sure it's going into the IO properly.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's
It's like there, but it's not going down.
yeah, so let's take a look at it. Make sure that everything is good. Yeah, nope, everything should be good. This back one is being a little pain. There we go. That's snapped in. So motherboard is all snapped in now. In first. So like the back plate. Typically you do all of that before you drop it in, but in a lot of modern cases the back is just wide open, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so those screws that I pointed out there, they are going to go in these 4 holes there. And I'm sorry the video on the phone is a little jerky. It's because it's going over Wi-Fi, and it's actually, I do believe, taking a pretty high quality video, so.
I'm not watching it, I don't know.
So I do apologize for the jerkiness.
This is gonna go in at an angle.
Don't really have a lot of options there.
Oh, okay, so just go for it?
Yep, so you'll just have to
Okay.
kind of get it started, be gentle with it.
That's fine. I'll kind of tilt it. Got it.
Yeah, so sometimes you just don't have a choice on that.
It's gonna smell all tropical in here again.
Yeah, it's not my favorite flavor. That's for
Really?
sure.
I haven't tried it yet.
It's okay. So, the next thing I would probably do, I kind of like having the motherboard completely free of all this stuff. I know if you watch a lot of other builders, they tend to fully load the motherboard, RAM sticks, AIO, all of that. With this case, I don't really see the need for it. There are some cases where you want all that in because to try to get it in afterwards is going to be a nightmare because you're going to have a pump, like hoses running over top of stuff, cables running over top of stuff, and it just isn't going to work. With this case, it is so open to every direction, it's not really a concern. And because all of like my front panel, I/O cables and everything like that, SATA cables, all of those fan headers are all around the periphery of the board. So like this is my USB 3, USB 2. Oh, whoops. Thanks. USB 3, USB 2. These are the SATA connectors, 24X there. All my fan and RGB stuff back there. Since it's all on the edge of the board with the exception of the 8-pin back there, which you can't do anything about anyways, there's no reason to really build this board up first. So we can just go ahead and kind of keep plowing forward. The only exception might be these SATAs there, but I'm only going to be running one SATA drive. So I can just plug in over here. It just doesn't matter.
Okay, what are we doing next?
Yeah, first we're actually going to try to find SATA 1. Because that would be the preferred one to plug into, but they don't have it listed on the board. They do. I do believe this is SATA 1, so we'll try to plug into that.
Okay.
So next, the next biggest thing will be the power supply. That's going to have the most cables to try to deal with, the cables to try to route, etc., etc., etc. And that is going to be the biggest problem with this case, is going to be
Where
cable
did it
management. It's on the floor behind me.
Oh,
okay. So to do that, we need to get the cage here out of the case. Yep.
I feel like I'm just your hired muscle.
No, I'm trying to help you out too. Here, okay. I'll help you out. The screws are on the back side here.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. I'm going to move this out of the way now. So let's actually spin this if we can. Let's work on it this direction. So that's where the camera is.
But I'm right-handed.
Yep. You're going to have to get real good there. So the PSU bracket is mounted in with just those two screws, and then it slots in. And there is an SFX position here and an SFX-L position up there. Also, Cooler Master, again, just to keep giving them praises about releasing 3D prints, they released STLs for doing a ATX mount as well. So if you have the space, if you're not using any of the top side for cooling or otherwise, you can just full on put an ATX power supply in here. So it really opens things up for you again. Do believe that limits you as far as how you can mount your GPU. I think it cuts into it and makes it so you have to mount vertical, but you can still fit a full 3-slot GPU. You can pull that out.
You want me to just undo
Yeah, just undo it and pull it out all the way. Those are just part of the cable management that we will maybe keep.
Or forego.
Or just get rid of. We'll see. Yep, and then we can go ahead and mount it up on this guy. Okay. And so to do that, you're going to want to take a look at this, how this kind of naturally wants to go. So I'm assuming we want to mount it this way. Yep. And also, so as you can see here, the fan can pull in fresh air from the outside. You can screw that out of here first.
Oh, it screws into here?
Yep.
Where?
Right on the front side here. So.
Oh, I see.
Yep. Once you get this lined up, you'll see that you can see all 6 mounting holes there.
Okay. Which little baby's amazing for that?
It's actually a good question. That is probably going to be. Here, let's try these round guys here. I'm sure the instructions totally say.
Do you need to put in all 6?
No.
Okay. Okay. Do I just put in 2? Do I just put in 4?
Put in 4.
Okay.
So what do we got here? Let's, because this is close to the back, let's try these. We're going to use the flathead ones, see if those work. If not, we'll just use the next ones. I don't know.
Wait, I want to see if they actually fit.
A lot of this stuff is all the same thread size. So for a lot of your drives, power supply, a lot of case features, they all tend to kind of use the same thread, which is an M4 thread. And it's kind of nice in that respect because then you don't really have to worry about actually cross-threading stuff and ruining like a motherboard standoff, in which case could potentially hose you if your case manufacturer didn't include additional motherboards. If your motherboard manufacturer didn't include additional standoffs, that can kind of hose you. Cooler Master went ahead and had them installed. In my experience so far, that's not really typical. It's just nice. Like, I don't think my Fantex or my Fractal Designs had them pre-installed.
You're pre-installed.
Okay. Alright, so actually we'll keep it back on the other camera view. Flipped it away, but we'll keep it there.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. How much space are we going to have when we put that back in?
You want me to just hang it?
Yeah, in the SFX spot. So this will be fine. With some ITX case builds, what you want to do is you're going to want to put all the power you think you're going to need into your power supply first, because it becomes kind of a nightmare to try to plug in. So it's always kind of nice to have them all pre-installed. You kind of shove your drive in, and then you start kind of routing as you're trying to shove your drive in. This one, we can get access to it from the bottom all day long, so I'm not too worried about it, so we'll go ahead and just screw this in.
Screw it in?
Yep.
Okay.
This case is also pretty nice because you do have easy access into your power supply, so you don't have to worry about if you accidentally didn't turn it on. You can just pull the front panel here, which will have an AIO on it, or you can pop off the top panel, which will have fans hooked into it, but you should be able to get enough space to reach in and just turn it on. Again, that is not always the case for many
She'll
ITX
hold
builds.
this. So I can focus on trying to use this hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not left-handed.
Yeah, I don't even have that camera on right now.
Damn it. Okay.
Alright, so, power
Do you
supply.
want to check any of those screws? I just know I don't tighten things as much as you like to.
Oh, that was good. So, power supply's on. The last little bit is just plug the cord in.
Mm-hmm.
And this one kind of goes only one way. Just shove it in there. Good to go. And that's an extension, which runs all the way to the backside here along the top of the motherboard. They have it pretty nicely zip tied out of the way. It's good and managed. Can't really see it. I think it would be one of those things that would bother me if I was going for a more exposed look on this, because it is kind of, it's pretty visible right there. That'd be something I might try to drop onto the backside of the motherboard carrier here and then try to come back up and in. But since we're going to be closed up, not too worried about it.
What's next?
I mean everything. So we kind of just have to get everything in. We can either try to do all of these, or we can start doing the actual power cables. It kind of doesn't really matter. This case is going to be a disaster as far as cable management goes, so let's just lean into it. But let's do power cables next. These. Yeah, we'll do power management next because these still aren't going to be fully blocked out by anything. Now to do that, we are going to have to steal the power cables off of the other case because they're still trapped in there, and possibly find some other ones that I have stored elsewhere. Who knows? All right, so the skeleton of this guy.
So I can drink some water.
Yeah, so this is just part of the tear down here that I just didn't do. I knew we'd have to come back to these. I just didn't want to take care of it right then and there. So we'll just shove those out. The Phanteks did have some really decent cable management. They had an entire tray here that was kind of nice to work in. It did a good job of hiding everything for you. I popped one of these grommets out. I don't want to lose it, so let's take a second and try to pop that back in. Or, nope, I'll just stick it over here. Let's get the SATA cable out. We'll probably need those eventually. These are all ARGB stuff. We'll need that. We're going to keep coming back to this case for a little while here because there's going to be a lot of components that we're just going to have to strip out of it. So here is the 8-pin, the 24-pin connectors for the computer. Weird. That cable is labeled different than everything else. Let's see, got some other power cables here. This is the GPU power cable. And I think, where is the SATA power? We're definitely going to need SATA power. Both of the fan controllers and RGB controllers use SATA to help power everything. So we will need all of those. Where is the wire cutters? What did I do with those? Found them. Right here. That. I have a lot of stuff to clean up, otherwise Saber is going to have a field day knocking it all around.
You said his name.
Oh no, is he coming?
No, he's sleeping on the couch with the curtains. They're exactly one cushion away from each other.
Forgot I did that. So, EVGA did do a nice job of finishing all these, but I cut back some of the heat shrink on this, so good thing that's all hidden. SATA cables, and some more stuff that we'll come back to when we start doing RGB stuff. Set that there. Okay. So, now let's get all the power cables plugged in and routed. You are going to need, I may as well plug all these in. Debating on if we want to keep this snakeskin on there or take it off.
Might as well keep it on, no?
We'll take the zip ties off and just put them back if we need to. Or, fine, we'll keep it on. I don't know. Just kind of winging this. Alright, so this is where you come back. Oh, shut up.
This is my dresser, and he is scratching it up to hell.
She doesn't care. It's been scratched to hell since
long
cats. Before this. So let's get these cable ties off. And here you go. Good luck. Nope. So, switch sides with me.
You just gotta tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
So these cables all need to be plugged into here, and as you can see, they're all labeled underneath. The one thing that you want to do is make sure that you're plugging the correct sides into the right thing. So if you look, EVGA does a nice job. They label it PSU, which is power supply unit, and then MB for motherboard. So all of these need to be plugged into there using the correct sides. And also, if you look, they are all labeled. So you have SATA, CPU, VGA1, VGA2, motherboard, peripheral.
Wait. So this is where this gets plugged in. It doesn't match what it says on there.
This gets plugged into the motherboard.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So MB would match to MB, and then it says PSU just to tell you that this is the power supply side.
Okay. And this goes over there.
Yep.
So I just go with whatever one fits?
Well, so you see MB, right?
Yeah.
And that's this cable, because it's labeled MB. And then if you kind of look, you'll see that they are keyed. They have half domes.
But I thought you said this one goes to the motherboard.
It does, but that's what I'm saying. This one matches that one, because they both have MB. Likewise, these ones are SATA, matches SATA.
Okay, so I'll put this in here. Okay, that's what I was asking. Is there a clip or anything?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that one.
Should I plug this one in yet?
No, let's go ahead and just get all of them plugged in and hanging out the bottom here, and then we'll go from there.
Does this go in one?
Yeah, start with one, and then we move on from there if we have additional SATA needs. I don't think we will, but just in case. Perfect. Yeah, and I don't think we'll need anything else there. So if we do need additional cables, we'll have to go find them, because that is the extent of my cables, and I do believe they're in that drawer there. So now, yeah, now you want to start plugging stuff in. So to give you a little bit of a heads up, this guy is going to go there.
Yeah, I already knew that.
But then you do also have to run this guy up over and all the way to there. So this is where you want to start planning stuff out, just to make sure that like you aren't going to end up having to unplug something. So again, what I was kind of showing her is we have this big guy with all that fat cable there. It needs to go right here, but then we also have this longer CPU guy right here that needs to go all the way over.
Should probably snake through here. Both sides need to...
Yep, so it is an 8-pin power, so you need to make sure you get both in there.
Oh, one goes one in.
You want to plug them in together.
At the same time?
Yep, so they are keyed a little bit, so they are designed to snap together. Not totally snap together, but they do want to try to stick together a little bit. Or at least the graphics card ones do.
Can these go in backward? Like...
Yes, so if you look... Again, if you look very closely at the... Look very closely at the connector. I'll show
oh, yeah, that one has the
show
edge
them
to...
the motherboard one. You see these half domes?
Oh, yeah.
So there's half domes there and there's squares. That's how these are keyed. You also do have the clip there, which will help indicate which way they gotta go.
Yeah, I just need to get them in at the same time. No, it's good. I feel like I gotta do one at a time. This is difficult.
It's also difficult as the camera's mirrored.
Well, I have no light in here either. But I'm gonna assume it goes down this way.
Oops.
There.
There you go.
One got in. I don't know if the other one did. No, the other one did not. Do you have something I can push on? Like, give me the screwdriver.
No, we won't be doing that.
It's just... There we are.
It's too easy for those to slip and then you stab a component and then it breaks. So, unfortunately, routing of these cables is going to kind of suck.
This is a beast.
Yeah, that is one of the ones that delivers pretty much all the power to the motherboard. So it tends to be
I didn't hear the click.
quite beast mode.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah, so this is going to be kind of a challenge to try to manage. We do have these ties here on the side
Nice.
that we can use. This one is kind of sucks. We're going to leave this one loose for now until the very end. Sorry. We're going to leave this one loose for now until the very end because all of our RGB headers are there. And then we'll try to manage everything at the very end there. So, let's just shove that in there for now. The SATA stuff. So we can actually get started on the SATA here. May as well throw the drives in. So the SATA drives are going to go, or the SATA drive I'm putting in is going to go right here. So to do that, we need these guys. Yeah. They just go in the case there. This will be fine. Ideally, you'd want to flip these around.
Oh, should I not?
Because we're going to mount from the outside
Oh.
and push in. So you just want the flange there to catch it. Otherwise, you might pop the plug out. And then also sometimes the tail on these tend to be a lot longer than the front. And so that'll stand your drive off further away and make it potential like clearance issues. There's a lot of space in the front of this case, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. You can fit quite a bit up there.
Do I want to put any in these?
No. So we just are only going to do one bay. So we just need
this one.
these four, or that pattern there.
It tells me after I put them in.
Get the seasoning out of here.
Don't put it on the floor. Saber will eat it.
All right. I'll let you do the honors of opening that up.
I'm just the builder.
Yeah, but I want you to kind of... You should be taking some lead on this so that you, instead of just
I can only take the lead once I know.
Just throw that stuff on the ground. None of this matters. Instruction manual for your solid state. No point in it. Packaging.
Okay.
So let's not hook anything up to this yet. So we want to get that installed first. So to install it, you need these little guys. 4 of them go into the 4 holes.
Do I put them in right now?
Let's show this on the camera. So the 4 of them are going to go into these 4 holes here. SATAs can be mounted, SATA 2.5 inch drives like that have mounting holes typically on the bottom for through mounting on a case like this, or on the side if you're using a carrier like my Fantex case did. And I also kind of hope that I handed you the right ones. I'm pretty sure I did. We'll see.
Didn't. We'll find out soon enough.
All right.
So which way does this?
This is going to go on the outside of the case.
Oh.
And yeah, now definitely mount it with. Oh.
Or.
So yeah, this is definitely a good thing or a good time to try to think about how you want to route this. If we go down, all the power has to come through the bottom here, but we're going to have fans and a 3-slot graphics card that's pretty long coming all the way down through here. But if we come up, we might be able to snake them through this hole here, and then feed that down into the SATA connectors on here. So let's try that and see where it goes, because I think that might be better, especially because I do believe a lot of my fan control stuff will either end up being mounted directly to the power supply bracket here, because that's going to go in a few places, or next to the drive over here. And then that allows us to route the SATA power out there. So find a good clean way to get this SATA power out. You can come up through the bottom here, or you can just come down through the top. Either one is fine.
You're gonna play in just the first one?
So you can plug in, because this is all series, it's not gonna really matter. This is data, or no, this is the power, so it's not really gonna matter. As we add more components, there's gonna be a little bit of voltage drop. So let's try to get the first one into the solid state, because that's gonna be the most important. So let's make sure that we're keeping our cables nice and clean and not going like pulling up on other ones.
So should we?
Yeah. If you can, try to get it so it's its own run, up and out. So like that's good.
That's fine, because that's going that way.
Mm-hmm.
This is going that way.
Would actually say here, let's run the SATA underneath this one as well.
Really?
Yep. Because eventually, towards the end of all of this, what we're going to do is we're going to push these down to the bottom.
Oh, true.
And that frees up the SATA there.
Is there a specific direction?
Yep, they are keyed. If you look at it, there's an L shape on it. So, like, if you haven't seen a SATA connector before, there is an L shape to the pattern, which does match. Does match the drive, so you do have L-shaped patterns on there. So you do want to make sure you match those. And what I was talking about with the wiring was that before, the SATA cable was underneath the CPU wire here, and what that's going to do, or this was over top of that, yeah, so once we pushed this down to try to manage it, it would have pulled on the SATA cable. So sometimes you want to just take a second to think about that and make sure everything's nice and clean, and it's going to be clean in the end. Yep, that's it. Just a little bit more on the bottom side of it. Yep, that's good.
Okay.
So these, yeah, these can stay here for now, because again, I don't know where. Oops. These can stay here for now because I don't know where I'm going to be putting the SATA or the fan controllers yet. On GPU can probably go last. So let's finish. Let's wire up this drive and let's start getting these guys installed, and then see what we got from there. But we're just gonna still not tuck anything just yet. So yeah, let's get this stuff installed. Or actually, let's do the SATA cable first. So we need one of those white guys there. And so this is going to be the same thing. It's going to plug in. It has an L on it.
I see it.
And then we're going to want to route it. Oh, kitty. And then we're going to want to route it down into. So we have multiple spots here. My operating system is on an NVMe, so that's
He's eating that napkin down there.
That's fine. So
no,
that look it.
It had that thermal paste on it.
Oh, he'll stop eating it soon enough then.
Okay.
It's probably gonna taste terrible.
I'm gonna save the cat from that.
Hey, Saber.
He grabbed it in his mouth and took it there. So.
Oh.
Hi, buddy. I know you love
So we're going to do a little bit of pre-thinking on this. So definitely going to want to squeeze this cable in behind these.
Here.
Where do I want to go over?
Here you go, buddy.
So once we squeeze these down into there, it'd probably be better to be over. So we're going to run...
I gave him a clean paper towel.
Okay, that's fair. So we're going to run everything over top of it. And let's actually go into one of these headers here. I don't remember if those share any of my PCI lanes. I don't want to deal with that. So, one of these two headers. Perfect. And then now we need to get all of this stuff plugged in. So what do we got here? HD audio, USB 3, and then just the normal panel stuff. So the HD audio is going to be that, I do believe it's that guy, right?
No.
No, because it is keyed, that pin.
It's missing the second pin in. This doesn't have a home.
No, it does. That's USB 2.1, that's USB 3, SATA. Maybe I just don't have HD audio on this board.
I said it doesn't have a home, and you're like, yeah, it does. Let's move on to this guy. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, I guess I just don't have HD audio on this board. That's kind of crazy. So that's USB 3 or 3.1, one of the two.
Is it in all the way?
Yep,
Yeah.
please be careful. That's good.
Okay.
And then that is
4 or 2x4.
and that should be this guy here. If you look very closely at this at the board, you can see writing.
Top row.
It's not often that those are actually connectorized like that.
Here we are.
So there you go. Okay, so now we have all the cabling in. I guess we don't have a home for my HD audio. That is weird.
There's more pins in here.
Oh my god, is that where my HD audio is?
I think it might be. We're gonna have to take that top plate off though.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that because I would like to have it. It's kind of nice sometimes to have the option of having that plug in right there.
Aren't you glad I'm here? I don't know if you would have seen that.
Had no need for it on the last one.
Oh jeez, come on. Little baby screwdriver. This top is...
It spins. That's designed like that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's supposed to make it easier. So that's going to be a part of this whole thing, so we'll have to see if this is actually worth it. I'm assuming this whole top part right here will just come off, and we won't have to really worry about too much.
There's 2 screws. Take those screws
Yep.
out too? Okay.
Let's use the phone here to take a look. Yeah.
I just thought we might be able to just take that one panel off.
We might be able to if we take the M2 heatsink off. We can try that.
So which one are we going to go with?
Take those 2 screws off. Let's see if we can squeeze in there.
Is this so? How am I? What's top spin for?
Here, hold this for a second.
Okay.
It spins for this reason because you plug it in there,
Oh.
and then you can do that.
So smart. Too old, I tell you.
Let's not use those. Do you want to do the next one?
I got a camera in my hands.
Yeah.
I think the cat is a little more exciting than Screws. Hey, buddy. Oh. Let's not attack the cords. Okay, so now does that slide off?
Nope.
Dang it.
Oh, there we go.
There.
All right.
So you just leave that part off now?
No. It's part of an aesthetic.
Oh my gosh. What are you attacking?
Oh, this doesn't even fit.
No?
It's the wrong pitch.
Let me take a look.
Maybe it does.
Nope. My turn.
Actually, I just don't think it does. I think the connector is just too much bigger than the...
Trying to get like one side in or something.
That doesn't fit.
It doesn't.
Okay. Well, that was an adventure.
But that is the right. I did find it.
Yep. So that is HD audio. Apparently, it's like a micro HD audio that my case doesn't support. So let's get this back on there somehow.
Saber's having fun with all your cord ties.
I see that. And so this is the 2 terabyte NVMe. From Micro Center, these do have a heatsink on them. Of course, I pulled it off because I am using the heat spreader that's integrated into the board here.
Saber.
Like that. And let's get those screws back in.
Yeah.
That doesn't go there. That was the one for the plastic.
I didn't know they were different.
They are. They're different lengths. Are you cross-threading that?
What do you mean cross-threaded?
Okay. It just looked like you were really going in crooked.
No. I might screwdriver's crooked, but I wasn't.
Right, so the short one goes towards the front.
What do you need in the front? That side? Okay. That's like the front of you?
The front of the motherboard, which is the I/O panel.
No. There.
See, now you're understanding what that top is for.
I didn't use it.
It's that screw right there.
Oh, it's this one?
Mm-hmm.
Big ass screw.
It is. Because it has to run through a big standoff in the back there.
I see that now. Oh yeah, now I'm using it. How tight should these bad boys be?
Hand tight.
Okay.
Cool. So that's in. Now, man, we can put the RAM in, and then we can start in on all the RGB stuff, and then we can do the AIO at the end.
Okay.
Cool. So let's put RAM in. Now putting RAM in is kind of a thing. If you don't put it in right, you could end up with weird errors.
I mean, it kind of just snaps in.
It does, but
in this, I feel like the lines are going to line up correct.
Yep. So there are notches you have to look for.
Do these? Do I just push?
Nope. So you do want to open those up.
Oh, that's what I was looking for.
And then you do want to make sure the notch in the RAM and the notch in the RAM slot match.
Yeah.
Nope.
No?
It's not seated yet. You gotta push till you hear.
Yeah, because I need to get in your position. I can't see.
Push till you hear a click. Don't even need to see for RAM.
There.
Audible click.
Okay.
And when you're seating RAM, especially on these motherboards
I should have done it the other one first.
Yep. That have only one clip that clips in, you want to seat the bottom side first.
Sounds pretty.
There you go.
There we are.
Cool. Yeah, if you have a RAM stick that is slightly loose, your computer won't boot. So it's important to get those installed properly. So graphics card can wait. Front panel audio is not going in. Let's do, I don't want to say the top to last. At this point, the computer's pretty much done. The only thing that needs to be put in is, to have a complete computer right now would be the only thing that really need to be put in would be the graphics card, and then we'd have a complete computer. But we still have to do fan work on the bottom. The graphics card's just going to slot in. There's not much to do with that. So that's why that's constantly being pushed off till the end. We have fan work to do on the bottom. We have a fan to install here. We have fans to install on the top, and then we have the AIO to install. Given the RGB headerness of all this stuff, I would say let's start with fans. So let's start with the bottom fan. So we're going to need the bottom panel, and then I will grab the bottom side fans.
Do you want a cookie?
No. And we're also going to dig Commander out of this to see if it interfaces with anything we have. As well as hopefully some of the cables. Okay, so this is the Commander core that comes with Corsair's AIO. You have to use this because the pump does not plug into anything else. So this is where the pump plugs in. It's a proprietary pin. It needs to be used. What would be nice is if we can also use this with, say, these fans here or other fans, or if it's going to be Corsair proprietary. If it's Corsair proprietary, we're kind of screwed. And then we'll have to use this guy, which is not, and just works with anything at all. So let's crack open one of these Seasonic fans for Silverstone. So a Silverstone fan, some cables and some adapters and some hardware. Instructions I'm probably not going to read.
Never read the instructions.
It's just a fan. Okay. Let's move the case out of the way for now. And let's take a look at these connectors and see if they'll work.
With this one?
Yep. Alright. So we have our
fan side.
RGB. We have our fan header. Fan headers can only go in one way. They have little indexing on them, and then there's indexing in there. So PWM works, but let's see if this works. This does not plug into there, which was the problem that I was worried about. Nope. So let's grab one of the Corsair fans to kind of see what we're working with here on their end. Yep. RGB hub. So it's clearly
Much smaller.
It's clearly a very specific connector, which really sucks. Means this entire commander system here is only for the AIO and the 2 fans. That's it. I can't connect anything else to it. So that is
Proprietary bullshit.
kind of dumb. Don't really agree with that move. I'm sure there might be adapters that I could buy. Maybe adapters in here.
Oh, I hope so.
Let's see.
Give me any small bags, I'll look at them. No.
Hardware, the key. That's the different top that we put in. No.
No.
So no, none of that. Alright, so since we're doing those fans last, we will kick that off to the side and we'll crack this guy open.
Well, good thing you bought it.
Yep. And it's magnetic.
That's
So
really
you don't
cool.
even have to use adhesive, yeah. And so this one, as you can see, this one just uses standard ass stuff. So the Silverstone, I do believe, the Silverstones do have their own kind of connector here. That's fine. They included an ARGB adapter. So I should be able to connect both of the Silverstone fans to one adapter, plug it into this guy. We're good. And by me, I of course mean you.
Okay.
So let's get kind of some of this mess out of the way. Ooh, more adapters. Keep all the cables we can get.
So, you said we're plugging into...
So first things first, we gotta mount the fan.
Okay.
The mounting hardware for the fan is we have rubber mount options, which are kind of nice, and then we have just standard hard mount options.
Let's do rubber mount options.
That's what I was thinking. Rubber mount's going to be a lot quieter. It's going to prevent vibration in the case and from the fan.
So where do these bad boys go?
So on the bottom here, which is where we need to install it, you'll see that there is a filter cover on it. So we need to take that dust filter off, which is just magnetic and should pop right up. The fans for these are going to be blowing into the case. If you have them on the bottom blowing out with your GPU right there, I think it's kind of obvious what will happen. You're going to starve your GPU with air and your temps are going to go through the roof because it's not going to get any air. Let's see if they have any identification markings on these. They do not. So you kind of just have to know how fans go. The fans always cup the air and push it in. So in the case of this fan, it's going to be this way because that's going to grab air and scoop it, which means the flow is going this way. So if I want this to be an intake, they have to be installed like that.
Okay. So do I just push this through?
I don't know, I've never used it.
Okay.
I suppose this is where those instructions that really could come in handy.
It's gotta go through here somehow.
Oh, they don't even have instructions actually.
Yeah?
No. So you're on your own. You gotta figure it out.
On this side. Why isn't anyone watching your stream that can tell us? That sounds using the hardware is sounding better and better.
One in that way.
But there is 2 different sides.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that the fat side goes.
So this side, the skinny side will go there, and this square side.
Oh, I thought it was opposite. I thought the big side would go this way.
You see how loose that is, though?
No, I put it this side down.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing you did.
It's not that loose.
Yeah, when you do it the right way. We're on the same page here.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
We're saying the same thing.
I thought we weren't going to use
Use what?
screwdrivers for this stuff.
Just around the motherboard. Generally, personal experience, I stabbed a memory controller resistor like right in half on one of my motherboards before, so I learned the lesson that you don't use screwdrivers.
You can get these in.
Yeah, so you're going to want to use a pair of pliers. So there's going to be a trick to this. You want to kind of feed it in, and then either you want to try to get it so that you can grab it and just pull it until it pops in. And just kind of shove it up in the hole there. Try to get out of the way. Or you can grab a pair of needle nose pliers, which we don't have. We have side cutters or wire snips. I think Charles doing that right. Or if you just are very gentle with a pair of wire cutters, you can kind of grab it and just pull, and there you go. It seemed like they were trying to do what Noctua did with theirs, but they just managed to screw it up a little bit by having the rubber not actually stick through the backside. Noctua's, when you put it in and start to go, you can easily grab the little nubbin. This one stops kind of like halfway in, and there's just not a good way to do it outside of that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a downer on Silverstone's part, as they tend to typically do pretty well with products. So there's one.
I'm gonna let you do that one because I'm afraid I'll get too aggressive with the rubber guys and the wire snips.
Yeah, it's a fine, delicate touch. It's one I've developed just...
Probably just go get my lash tweezers.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to use right tools, you can do that, but I've had a long history of just using
right. So using lash tweezers is right tools.
It's better than wire cutters.
Mittens. She just woke up. She's announcing it. What?
Trim
You
that one
snipped
for me.
off the end.
Yep. Snipped off a little bit more on this one. So we're going to have to go the other way. Just push it in with a screwdriver. Which is another option available to you if you just stab it in from the one side with a screwdriver.
Okay, so how do we want to push these? I didn't push them in yet because the cords.
Yep, so that is a good question. There's the front. So this is going to go in like this.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of just want them... I'm still thinking the fan controller, all that stuff is going to have to go to the front. So wires, all of that are going to have to go forward or right there. So we can kind of mount these in like this. And then,
Excuse me, sir. I'm building this. Oh yeah, this one's missing a nubbins.
you mounted that totally crooked.
It will not. Oh yeah, I did.
There you go.
Yeah.
And with these rubber ones, you just kind of
There.
push them through. That's good. And then you're just going to have little, like, you're just going to have little nubbins hanging off the bottom here, which are a little unsightly, but it's on the bottom, so who cares?
Yeah.
And it means that these fans are, you can slide them around a little bit, but they're, you know, they're not hard mounted. There's less chance of vibration there, so sweet. With that done, we can go ahead and slap the bottom back on. Throw the meshy guy.
We can.
Oh yeah, that is a problem I didn't think about.
And not unless we cut little holes in the mesh. You can see.
And being that that is going to be right next to the desk, you know, that's going to be pretty important. So I would rather cut holes in the mesh.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
You
So
could take your little wire snips and.
probably cut them with the scissors that are over there easier, honestly. So we'll just mount that there. Excuse me.
Oh, hi, Min. No, you can't go up there. No, you can't go up there.
I'm just making little kind of notches in this, trying to keep it as tight to the rubber as possible, so
Oh, I
that
thought you were gonna cut holes, not from the side.
it's easier just to cut from the side.
It is, but
So there we
I
go.
wasn't expecting that.
That way we retain a lot of the mesh. So we are going to have, you know, some leaking, some leakage now from this, but it's no big deal. These mesh panels aren't really that great anyways, and I will be replacing them as soon as I can. It's the bottom.
That's janky.
It's the bottom of the case. Nobody can see it. Actually, I might just use these.
Nobody can see what you're doing anyway, so you might as well take that off and do it easier.
This is how I'm lining up where I'm cutting.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to switch it to the other view.
Will do.
There we go. Yeah, so I was just kind of hacking at it with some tin snips here, or some wire cutters. Just kind of peel a little bit. Thankfully, this mesh is just plastic, I think, so it's not super. Maybe it's metal.
It's metal.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just kind of a weird plastic.
Yeah, it might be. Now that you say that.
It doesn't stick to the there. Alright, so good enough. Now you can go back to what you were doing.
What am I doing?
Let's go ahead and get this
Do you
bottom.
want to mount that bottom on?
Yep, let's go ahead and get the bottom mounted with the fans, then we can start routing cables.
Where's that screw?
I think over there. It's one of those, isn't it? Those three?
I mean, I don't know. It was the only screw to the case.
No. Oh, yeah. Where did those other screws come from?
I don't know.
No, those screws came from something. I don't remember what, but it's one of those. It's fine.
It's not in.
No, I didn't put the back end either, so you kind of have to do it all.
I have to just push it?
No, you have to do the whole thing. Start from there.
I just didn't know where this went in, or like...
Yes, we gotta get that
Oh.
installed. I guess that's good.
Alright.
Maybe.
I just gotta push down on the top. Maybe. Okay.
Perfect. So now we're back to having a bottom
Yay.
and doing things kind of. So it is quite the wire disaster now. So now this is where we have to kind of start feeding some of this stuff. So all of these need to just be kind of nicely, let's get the GPU guy out of the way. Let's get the HD audio guy out of the way. So all of these need to kind of nicely come back through there. And since we are using this Cooler Master commander, let's see if it'll fit right there.
Yes.
Let's grab the front panel and make sure that that it can fit there, or we're gonna have to move it to something else.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Fits perfectly. Lots of space left in there. So good. The only concern I have is, will we be able to plug in right next to this SSD like that, or is that going to be a problem? Ultimately, is that going to be a problem? I will have to move that.
Well,
It's mostly these cables.
if you go like, I know the bottom, but the case would hold it in. I know it's not completely magnetic. No one can see.
That would be sweet if we get that to work. That's not going to work.
Personally, I like it on the outside.
Yeah, I think right here will be fine. We have to make sure that we are getting the correct... Ooh, there's a peel on this. So we got to make sure that we're getting SATA power into this, the motherboard's PWM, and the motherboard's ARGB. What that does mean is that everything that's hooked up to this is going to be the same color. We're not going to have individual control. I'm okay with that. Everything's going to end up being the same color. Anyways, I don't plan to do any rainbow patterns or weird stuff. It'll all be what it is. The one thing I will be able to change independently will be the fans for the AIO. So, all right, it's all you. So, need to route these, and this is where we can start getting some zip ties and stuff like that involved.
I'm just gonna plug them in.
Okay.
I don't know what you're doing with cable management. I did not sign up for that.
So for this, we are going to need some of the adapter cables that are there.
We are?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just...
For sure. So that is a Y splitter, which may come in handy, but I think we can get by with... That's the one you need.
This one?
Yep, so that's an ARGB connector. So ARGB connectors look like this. They tend to only have 3 pins and a 4-pin sleeve kind of thing. Some of them really suck. So this is for ASRock, ASUS, and MSI. That's for Gigabyte. So this is probably the guy that's going to go to the actual motherboard and then come back to the panel here. So as you can see, it only has 2 pins. That's what this thing is, and we might just snip this guy off because it's for Gigabyte only.
It's already 9 o'clock.
Yeah, here I'll start helping with everything so we can get this guy down. Cut that off because I don't need it. Okay, so for that, what we have here is we have 2 Silverstone's proprietary connectors and then just standard PWM. So these 2 are going to be kind of more standard 3-pin, or like these are Silverstone's 3-pin ARGB headers. This is a standard PWM fan header. So we're going to run that through there, kind of like that. Make sure that those don't go anywhere crazy. And then let's plug these 2 connectors. Kind of want to get these like separated nicely. These 2 connectors are going to go into that guy.
These 2? They're 2 different ones.
They are. So we will need one of the Ys that I gave you. And we'll probably either snip off the other one, or so then these can go like that, and then you can finish it off and pop it into a RGB spot. And we'll have to probably not use, how far does that stick out? Because that could be a real problem.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. It doesn't fit. Or maybe it does. No, it's the rubber on the outside is too thick.
Not cool, Silverstone. That is kind of a pain in the butt. Let's see if what else we have for cables.
Those.
These definitely are not it. Okay, so the problem we have here is that this is just kind of very standard ARGB header, and Cooler Master's device doesn't quite allow for that, or Silverstone's outside is just too thick, like this shroud. So we'll just cut the shroud off. So the shroud that's on here is just a rubber it's just a rubber protector. Like, it's no big deal to just rip this off. This is also going to be going into a plastic housing, so there's no worry about shorting anything or anything like that. So we'll just hack this apart.
This is probably not recommended, but you know, whatever.
You know, building computers isn't always smooth, and sometimes you just got to do some stuff that I think is a little sketchy, but in the end, it works out. And yeah. The connectors are right there.
Yikes.
if they didn't want me to cut this off, they wouldn't make the rubber so soft.
Did you cut it down enough to fit? I mean, you may not have to cut it down all the way. Hey, now.
Just adding more character to it. There we go. Woohoo!
All
So it
good.
fits.
So we were going to see.
Let's see if it just fits like this.
Oh, it does. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so we'll just do that instead. So that's one. So that's these guys down here. We can, oh yeah. So that's the two fans on the bottom, and just a disaster of cabling.
Do we want to just
Let's keep.
loosely just couple of them just so we can?
Let's just kind of keep going with
Okay.
it. And so now I'm going to plug in the ARGB header up here at the top of the motherboard, which is kind of shrouded by all sorts of cables and stuff. There we go. And we're going to run this probably just straight back and through here. Now on this guy there's just a little 2-pin slot that they use for the ARGB. So let's plug that in there. It's plugged in right there. And then there's a PWM fan header that I also have to plug in. Did we lose that cable?
I have no cables on my side of this.
Let's clean up some of this stuff here. Oh, there it is. So in the shuffle of everything, it just got knocked down to the ground. And so this is the PWM fan header. We will put this on the chassis. So all the chassis fans are going to run the same. CPU fan, AIO pump, chassis. It's going to be important not to put this on the wrong one. So on the motherboard, it is labeled. It's very kind of small and hard to see, but it is there, I promise you. So let's get that just kind of plugged in there. Plug that in. So we still have to put the PWM connector in. So let's hope we don't have the same issue that we did with the other one as far as that goes. Let's just kind of pull those off to the side here. Oof. All right. Actually, we can just plug these straight in. It's not that big of a deal.
Where did you put these zip ties on?
I didn't. It came like that.
Oh.
So, because we have more than enough ports here, I'm actually not going to worry about it. The ARGB had to be wide in just because it required an adapter. And I don't really feel like modifying 2 adapters. So let's get that plugged in. So there's those. So the bottom fans are completely wired. The top fans, we will have to wire here in a second. I think we might... I think we're going to go ahead and do the top fans now, because we should still have more than enough room to be able to plug in the AIO pump in the chassis or the CPU fan, as long as I remember that which one's which. And let's not forget we still have to mount Corsair's own proprietary bullcrap. So this, we're actually going to move this out of the way for now.
Mhm.
Because this is going to be a whole other thing here where I might have to mod some stuff.
Or do you want to save some of these?
No. So this is their protector. So one problem you can see is you can't get to the screws for this from the top side. Now this actually is metal compared to the other one. Now why that is an issue, because right now they have these rubber grommets, they have these long stakes. You should be able to just plug that in. That's your fan. The reason why this is a problem is because I'm trying to do some RGB on this that is totally unnecessary, but I want it. So I just didn't put this in. So like I kind of said earlier on in the introduction, I'm using Phanteks halos, which add RGB to any fan. Very nice. Sweet, we got some more ARGB connectors I'm going to have to modify. Plenty of screws in here. That actually just kind of fell in there. And so what we have to do is kind of try to figure this out. And it's not going to be as straightforward as I would hope. So one thought I had was maybe being able to pull this out. If I can push this back in with a screw already attached. Which actually, that worked surprisingly well. I did not expect that. So
Nice.
that may save us some heartache here. So, but now there's rubber on these pads here. There's rubber on these fans here. So there's a lot of rubber in the way. So the problem with that could be that stack ups just do not work.
Yeah.
Again, doing another pull in with these fans instead of exhausting. And that's what I'm afraid of right there. The screw doesn't come all the way through. So one other thought I did have for this is that because those are rubber, I may still be able to use these stakes, but what I'm going to have to do to use those, oh god, can't get that back up.
These do come out.
Yeah, I'm not going to take those out.
Okay.
There we go. So the one thing that we can possibly use to our advantage here is that there are screw holes in the back of these. That's these guys. But these guys are not going to be long enough for that. These screw in there? That is not ideal, but that may work. That may be just the ticket. So these screws do fit very nicely into the head of here, but the problem is getting them to stay in that rubber. But if we do this and do this, so if we use some of those SSD drive mounts, assuming I have enough, which I think I do. Yeah. All right. So we have enough that maybe that will be enough force or enough friction to hold these fans on when they're upside down, along with everything else. So let's give it a shot. So we're going to finish taking these and putting these little guys in there.
Which ones are you screwing?
So these weird stakes.
Yeah, we're screwing these in.
You have a normal screw.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. I was like, how are you doing that? There.
And then the other 4 are going to be on the other fan, but let's see if this holds first before we commit fully. I just need those not to be in there. Yeah, this one's kind of just all me trying to figure it out, so I don't know. If this works, then we'll need to get
more of those out of there.
The ones out of that other fan, where the hell it went to.
It's somewhere. I can clear it on that.
There you go. Assuming this works. If this doesn't work, then I'm just going to have to kick the RGB altogether, and that's it. I just want to have top RGB like I wanted.
No. It'd be unfortunate.
It would be a catastrophe. Oh, I don't think that's gonna work.
Oh, so should I just stop?
Yeah. I have one other idea then that I'm going to try. Let's see if this works. Again, I had no idea if this was going to work or not. They do have fatter inserts, but unfortunately they have a different thread pattern, so I can't use those. Otherwise, if I could have used those, I know for a fact that those would have worked. And now you did see me like shake it a little bit. I know that it probably wouldn't ever see that much force, but it's just a matter of, you know, making sure it's going to stand up over time.
I'm gonna have cats. I mean, you never know what the cat is gonna jump on.
Alright, so that's not going to work. So I guess we are down to where I have to pull this metal off.
No.
Which should be a pretty straightforward process.
It is. It's just like essentially the metal that's on the back of crappy picture frames.
Or if I can get by with just pulling just enough tabs.
Probably will have to pull them all.
I'm missing one. Let's see. And then it's a matter of not wanting to damage this or break any of these tabs. Don't want to bend those too many more times. They're gonna break. So, now that I have that, the plan is to never replace these fans ever again. So thankfully there is quite a bit of... Well, I'm going to have to reverse, I think, how that goes. These do like to just pop out fairly easily, so I'm going to have to just make sure that I support that rubber. So like that, and then I should be able to set this on there like that, and then that peg there should support the fan. So that'll work.
Okay, let's take the entire top off then.
I would much rather not.
You're not going to be able to get these ones down here.
Oh, You go for it.
Without bending it. Just don't bend that.
Okay, fine.
I was gonna say, you don't want it to look like crap on top. Because the metal got bent. Weird.
Yeah, so in the tabs for this top case are just these little metal tabs here. When you have the cover in your hand, it's a lot easier to see what I'm working with. And so it's really nice that they use just metal on the top. Otherwise this wouldn't be possible without a lot of heartache and probably glue. Because the metal just bends out so easily, and then we're able just to slowly peel this whole thing off, and there you go. So now you got the whole top off, and you're just left with this. And it's this piece right here that Cooler Master released the STL files for, so that you can modify them as needed. Okay, so I do need those other. Oh, did you get those ones?
Oh no, you told me you're like, nah.
Yep. Now I need them.
Okay. Hi, Saber. He's behind my laptop going like, why isn't it warm?
Yeah, this would normally be Zombies time, which would have been the normal stream, except for I was undertaking this because I like torture, I guess.
And I volunteered because I guess I also like torture.
Okay, so that can go there. I'll go down towards the bottom.
He's licking my postcard. That's gross, bud.
Sorry, let's slide this out here. And so now I'm just using Cooler Master standard pegs, but just kind of in completely reverse. And they do have quite a bit of hold on them. And so that should keep everything together. I mean, there's a lot of rubber here, a lot of surface contact between these, and that's it. That ain't going anywhere. And we'll have some nice cool RGB once this is all lit up. And a little bit of contrast. I like that kind of black ring there with the white fan. Just adds a little bit of something.
I got him.
While she's doing that, let's finish getting...
Here.
And they do offer these plugs as well to be able to plug stuff in, but we're not using them.
Are you still screwing?
No.
Okay.
We are not doing that.
I know, I had a hard time getting this one out.
There we go. More than one way to do that. Yeah, we're not keeping any of that hardware.
Where's the bag? Oh, right here.
Let me know if you want to take back over doing this stuff.
At this point, I say whoever can do it fastest.
We still gotta eat dinner.
I know.
I didn't even think about that.
You didn't?
I'm pretty enthralled in the build process here, so...
I mean, that's fair. Oh. Do you need anything else out of this?
I don't think so. Maybe those Oh, we will need those adapter cables for each one. Hopefully I saved the other ones. Yep, right there. And we will probably have to shave off those housings as well. Alright.
Yay. We will, in fact, need to. I can tell already. And I don't feel confident enough with your knife to do it.
Right.
Nice!
Yeah, like I said, it looks
Okay.
Looks good. I like that all.
I'm gonna let you shave the top of these, and I'm gonna put that on.
Okay.
So we'll switch spaces.
Well, let's see. Let's just do a test fit here first before we get all shade crazy. Oops. Do we have another? Suppose we don't have a Y connector for these. That fits. Or do we? That would be sweet. Only having to shave off one connector would be awesome. Haha, nice. Another Y. Just double check, make sure that. Oh, I was like, are you kidding me? Ooh. Adapters on adapters. Nice. Put together pretty fast.
It's not done yet. Speaking of dinner, if you wanted to order something, we should order it closer to the time when the computers.
Oh, what time is it? 9:38.
Yeah.
Alright. This is definitely running a little bit longer than I thought.
He told me 2 hours.
I did say 2 hours. I thought that would be it, but I did spend a lot of time explaining things, which
It's always good.
I don't regret. But it did eat into my time estimate quite a bit.
Oh, damn. Big Daddy.
I was kind of more thinking just McDonald's.
I was thinking Taco Bell.
Whatever. Either
Because
one.
that nacho party pack. Or we can do McDonald's. I'm cool with it, whatever. You know I am.
Alright, let's see if this fits. Oh, what'd you do?
One of those just isn't tight.
No, I kind of popped before, remember?
I did it.
If it looks okay, I'm cool with it because
It looks perfect.
when am I gonna touch it? That does look perfect. Show off your handiwork to the camera.
And I just dropped the screw. Hey, look at me.
And I do like that little black accent right in there.
Oh, the be quiet accent?
So that's the Fantex.
You mean the black around?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's the Fantex LEDs, and I just kind of like that ring. So this one's been a little bit more of a pain. It's got a lot more to shave off than the other one.
Oh, my hair was totally in the way.
Oh, that's okay. You can actually probably throw the case back up here, and
Okay, put the top down.
yeah, we can get the top on. Start routing those cables. Although I think these ones we probably should do a little bit of a pre-manage. So I think, yeah, that would be good. So like for these ones, I do believe there's a bunch of zip ties in the bottom here. Nice. So let's just pull. Let's just pull them together, like right there. Throw a zip tie.
Okay. I'm gonna hold these tight.
Right there. We'll do one more.
Make sure this is straight though.
Let me see.
This guy gets twisted.
I'll pull that back a little bit.
these guys too.
That's good right there.
Okay.
So that should be enough to be able to drop it on,
Okay.
and then we can go from there. Nice. Oh no, I fed in the wrong direction.
Okay.
But that is also going to be an issue too. Where does this sit? We're going to have to drop them down. Where would we have to drop them down at? Essentially right in front of that fan. Dang it. Well, if you want to do that, pull them back this way and drop them, like, just zip tie them together, like right here.
Okay.
And I'm going to see if this fits in the thing yet.
Yeah, a little zip tie.
Oh, there we go. Now she fits.
There we are.
Fits nice and snug. Yeah, so always make sure you know which way things are going when you go to cable manage them, because otherwise you just have to redo it all.
Otherwise, you waste your damn time. Don't worry, I'm not going to tighten it all the way until I get it through. I can manage. Oh, okay. Well, here, I want this to be up. Like that. There we are. Perfect.
Nice. Then one more. Mark right there. Yeah, it's a good thing this is not a glass case. Allows you to get away with kind of being a lot more ugly on the cable management. If this would have
I
been
was gonna say, that's not that ugly though.
no, but if this would have been a glass case, I would have snake skinned all that, just like I had on my Fantex case, so that it's just one fat cable as opposed to 4 cables. I do believe just push it down. Oh, I see what the problem is.
There's a problem?
Oh, that fan is right on that header.
It'll still spin. We just need to push that baby cord out. We just need to manage it down.
In this case, you have to be very careful about fan heights. And definitely in a situation here where fan height is just barely,
It will work.
just barely too thick. We are going to have to manage those cables first. So I'll
Yeah.
have to pop this back off.
We'll have to pull those down. Just set this sideways. We'll take it out.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take it out. Let's get these
Baby cords.
guys managed. I'll have to grab the phone and show, like, it is right on top of that connector. It's pretty nuts though. Not exactly ideal. Might be able to manage that or put these around this guy. And the other problem we're having is one of the cables wants to kind of lift up into the bottom of that fan again because everything is so close. So now it's a matter of trying to cable manage this, which I just cannot seem to do right now. There we go. Jeez. Alright, so I want that cable across the top there. I'm going to pull these kind of tight.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead and zip tie
piloted. Okay.
Okay. So that should be
Attempt
that.
number 2.
Yep. Just stuff all that in there. This is turning into quite the rat's nest of wiring, but
Doesn't it every time?
sometimes I'm a lot more careful about managing as I go. Again, this case being closed has kind of having me do a bunch of bad habits right now that I normally wouldn't do.
I can't see the front.
You have one cable, right?
There. And there we are. Is that in? Yeah, there. Your hair smells good.
Thanks. Beautiful. Everything is
Looks good.
literally as tight as it can get.
Yeah.
It can't get any tighter than that.
And since it's almost 10, I say now it's time for us to go eat dinner.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree with that. So we won't be finishing this build on this stream.
No.
It's actually a lot of setup to be able to do this stream, so I probably won't finish this build on stream. But if you follow me on Twitter, at Harpoon and Puppies, or on Facebook, just give me a follow here. I will post pictures of the build once it's complete. Probably be something that I do tomorrow, or maybe even just tonight.
You probably
after we
will
eat.
tonight.
Yeah, I'll probably finish this tonight, actually. It just won't be on stream. So, thanks everyone that came out. Sorry this didn't kick off quite as fast as I thought it would, but
We got a lot done.
we did. And it wasn't just a build straight up either. Like, we were tearing down and then building back up, which adds a lot of time. If all the components were in boxes, probably would have been done
A lot
by
closer,
now. So,
yeah.
but as you can see, if you haven't built a computer before, it's a lot of work. And in order to make it look pretty, it's a lot of cable management. It's a lot of thinking ahead. So, but yeah, we will see you guys next week for sure. Next Wednesday at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. So that's 8 o'clock Central. And yeah, see you then. Probably be playing zombies again, I'm sure. Or
Like always.
maybe getting mad at what other game. Or maybe Battlefield 5. I don't know. Trying to
Oh.
get her on that because we're getting kind of tired of Modern Warfare. Yeah, so.
Yeah.